I'm DonTheCrown, and if you're like me and just started playing Diablo 4, everybody told you that the easiest way to gear up your character is just to look for the green number goes up. It makes your build better. You don't even need to think about itemization. It's so basic. Well, then you're probably using the wrong items. Because I was definitely using the wrong items until I actually started to look at them. So for an example here, we just dropped this Battle Mad Flamard. It's got green number go up, damage per second goes up. So obviously it's better than this yellow item, right? I mean, it's even got a cool legendary affix. Well, I'd actually be more likely to take that legendary off of that and put it onto the axe than to use the legendary. And let's talk about that. Now, first things first, if you need to see all of the advanced tooltips, just go to gameplay, advanced tooltip, compare, and information. That'll allow you to see the more details over here, including like being able to see what properties are lost. But the thing on the right doesn't really have good like modifiers at all, whereas the thing on the left has good modifiers for us. And why is that? So crit strike damage is pretty trash right now. Crit strike chance is very, very low. Vulnerable damage only really works when things are vulnerable, and so you have to have a build that consistently puts up vulnerable. And at least for me right now, I don't really have a consistent source of vulnerability. Maybe if I had changed some stuff around, it would be a little different. Overpower damage. Overpowers only proc 3% of the time. And then strength gives you 1% damage per 10 strength if you're a barbarian. Different classes have different main stats. So yeah, lucky hit also barely procs. So we're not going to talk about that. On the left-hand side, this axe here has damage against healthy enemies, which I believe is any enemy above 80%. Also enemies that are crowd control, which includes taunts or slows or a bunch of other stuff I'll show you in a second. Basic skill damage, which is like our left click. And then damage to close enemies. And close enemies means that anything that is within melee range of you. Now, if you want to see some more information about these stats, click on this materials and stats button, click over here, and then you'll be able to see like your level and all your other stats. But more importantly, you can see stuff like overpower chance, 3%, which is why overpower damage is bad. Our critical strike chance isn't even 6%, so that's pretty bad as well. Damage versus close. This increases damage dealt to enemies in melee range, so I have to basically be able to hit them, but this is basically my best stat. Now, another thing to note that as Berserker, or Barbarian here, sorry, my best stat for me, I think, is damage versus close, and most of my weapons are going to have that particular modifier on it. Now, one of the things that I don't have on my main weapon is that, though. I have damage versus crowd-controlled enemies, I have strength, I have core skill damage, but really for the build that I'm doing right now, I'm doing Hammer of the Ancients. This is the main weapon that I do damage with. I hit almost all of my skill damage with this, so I don't really care about the stats too much on my other weapons. I've gone through and you can assign different weapons to be on particular things. Hammer of the Ancients only uses your two-handed bludgeoning, but like for example on my lunging strike here, I have it assigned to my two-handed sword, and then I have it set to use my bludgeoning on my weapon here. And you just click middle mouse and it will allow you to cycle through them, and that's how you do that. And it is good to have different skills assigned to stuff because there is a few legendary powers that benefit from swapping weapons. So my left click and then right click, we swap weapons back and forth. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at stats. I'm looking more than just at the armor or the DPS. Other stuff that I've looked at here on my gear that I think is pretty good. Basic attack speed is pretty decent. Life on kill is pretty good. There's not really a lot of healing in this game, so anything that's like recovering your life is pretty nice. I've noticed that body armors have like percent physical damage or just damage in general. That's pretty good. By the way, this legendary power, which comes basically from the very first dungeon, is OP. Go get that. It's just to the west of the start town. It's like right here, Lost Archives. Definitely go get that power. Over here we have plus level of our skill, which gives us more damage, more stats. That's pretty nice. Our pants here are kind of bad. They have damage reduction, which is nice, but the swapping thing is pretty good, and I just haven't found anything else to put this on yet. And then For our boots, there's a couple different types of boots. There is one that gives you an extra charge of evade. There's one that has this where your attacks reduce the cooldown of evade. And there's another one that makes it so that when you evade, you get like a 40% movement speed boost. I think I have one of these here, like that. And that is pretty good. I also like movement speed on my boots just in general because I think that is a rather good stat. And then for our accessories, we're looking for have more movement speed here. I think movement speed is pretty good. Then damage reduction from close enemies, because that's typically where bosses are going to be when I'm fighting them. Also more damage in any way. Poison resistance is pretty nice for the world boss right now. And then more life, more damage to close enemies. There's lots of really good stats out there. Hopefully this video kind of helped you learn a little bit about the stats, maybe some of the screens of the game, and let me know in the comments below and come by the stream. See ya.